in Cowboy history, and we're always enjoy our time with him as he's here with us on Countdown. And Troy,
You got one important thing.
What was that?
He's also Marcus's best friend.
Hey, TA.
That's right.
TA,
That's right.
I heard they
got to lead with that.
I heard they're going to modify the name up there and
You're gonna
put
add
plus
you?
Bestie.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
They should. It's only
I was in the background supporting you while you were doing all that.
only appropriate. All right, if I can bring it back to center, there are two sort of storylines that are competing as it relates to Dallas. On the one hand, they score about 40 a game 3 different times. They've given up 40 twice. They're at the top of the scoring offense. They're at the bottom of the scoring defense. They've won by 20. They've lost by 20. They haven't won or lost consecutive games all year. So if I ask you what reality you live in which you believe is truer to what the Cowboys are, is it the better or the worse?
Well, I think it's in the middle, and that's what their record shows. They're 3-4-1. I mean, they've been an average football team because of that. I think the unfortunate thing, if you're Dallas, and all the comparisons have been made about last year and what Joe Burrow did with Cincinnati, and they didn't play well defensively, and I think those comparisons are real. And you've got a quarterback in Dak Prescott. He's played great. He's among the best at that position. He's healthy, and they're putting up a lot of points, but yet they're on the outside looking in currently. And so that's hard to swallow, I think, if you're Brian Schottenheimer and the Dallas Cowboys, knowing you've got a quarterback playing at that level, you've got an offense that's doing that, but yet the defense has been so poor. But, this is an opportunity, again, for them tonight to see what they're capable of doing. And Arizona's looking at it thinking, well, it's an opportunity for them as well against a defense that's really had some tough times.
Troy, Jerry's been alluding to a move being made for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're really just one, like let's say it's a defensive player. Are they one defensive player from all of a sudden being a competitive football team?
No. I don't believe so. Do I think Micah Parsons would have made a difference? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now would that change their record that much? I don't know. He is a difference maker, but those guys aren't typically available. So I don't know that they can bring in somebody like him. I don't know what that move is. I don't know who it might be. I think it's interesting that you announce there's a trade, but you're not going to announce who it is. But
It's a very kind of Jerry being Jerry.
What do they have to give up, and what exactly does that look like? I guess we'll all be evaluating that tomorrow sometime.
You know what? I want to go to the other side of the field in the Arizona Cardinals. It was announced that Jacoby Brissett would be the starter tonight. And I said last week, if I was the Dallas Cowboys, I'd actually rather play against Kyler Murray with the way that this offense has looked in the last 2 games against Indianapolis and Green Bay. What have you seen from Jacoby Brissett from the quarterback position that has allowed this team to play so efficiently from the offensive side of the ball?
Well, let me first say that as a defensive player who had a great career and I respect, that's an interesting take. I take that into consideration because, these defensive guys that are having to run down Kyler Murray all night, typically it's not something they really want to do. But to your point and what you said, there's no question that Jacoby Brissett has elevated this offense over the last 2 weeks. And I think a big reason is because he allows Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, to really run the offense that he wants to. When you go back to his time at Cleveland with Stefanski or Minnesota, and Norv Turner was the offensive coordinator there for a time. They're very similar in how they want to attack you. They want to run the football, the play action game, being under center, marrying the run game, with the passing game. And that's what Jacoby does extremely well. So whether or not Kyler could have played, I'm not really sure. I know the explanation that was made to us was that he can't run the way that Kyler Murray can run. Yeah. And so without that, then he's not the same guy.
TA, I'm going to go. Last night, obviously, we saw the injury with Jaden Daniels. And right now, this has become a recurring theme, and I've gotten concerned. You as Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer, former quarterback of a really good football team, but also a franchise that wasn't having success when you showed up. What is the advice you giving Jaden Daniels after he returns about how he needs to potentially look at this game a bit different?
Well, I think Dan Quinn and the organization, Marcus, has been talking to him about that. And I really felt last year he improved in that area because we had him, I believe, week 3 on Monday Night Football. And the first 2 weeks, he took a pounding.
Yep.
And he protected himself better. Of course, he made it through the season healthy. And, this year's been a little bit different. How much of it has been his style? It's hard to really say exactly. But, Jaden Daniels, I hope he gets healthy, and I hope we see the best of him in the years ahead.
You referenced Dan Quinn, and after what happened last night and what was a blowout loss where Sam Darnold and Seattle were brilliant, Dan Quinn spoke today and basically said, hand up, this is on me.
I know many of you have been asking about the thought process of Jayden being in the game in that situation. I get that. I've been thinking about it, honestly, nonstop, too, and, for me, the answer is, man, I missed it. But I would I'll fill you in on my thought process. At the start of the fourth quarter, I guess it was probably like 12 and a half minutes left in the game. And that was going to be the last drive for a couple of guys, Jayden and Zach and Debo. And honestly, man, that's where I missed it. Of course, he could scramble. It's Jayden. It's what he's special at. And that is 100% that's on me.
I found it fascinating when I got here. And, Jason, you made the point. Starters might come out when you're up by a bunch. RC, you made the same point. Troy, I'm interested in your perspective on, yeah, you're down, but normally the starters stay. I mean, it's easy in hindsight, but what's your reaction to what Dan just said?
Yeah, he fell on the sword, and I get it, and it's what a head coach should do, and I'm sure, in hindsight, like he said, that he wishes he had taken him out. You can look at it both ways. One, I doubt Jaden Daniels wanted to come out.
Yes.
Secondly, you want to compete. That's what you do. And I would say the only reason that maybe it shouldn't have been hindsight is because he'd just come off the injury. He's been injured already earlier in the season. The game's out of hand. Let's just get him out. But I think that becomes a hard one when you wait and you make those comments after you know what the results are. So I think those are the decisions the coaches have to make, and you live with it. But I don't place blame really anywhere on that one.
And you just had him a week ago where Daniels is out because of injury, and they're incredibly banged up. And now they lose. Lattimore now is down with an ACL. It's been an unbelievable year of injuries to critical players for this Washington team, and now with Daniels out, it feels like a lost year.
We got time.
A second one.
My perspective,
please,
and I think he should have came out the game, but my perspective, TA and RC, is because of his history. Because of the way he plays football, right? And coming off the injury, you actually brought that to my attention. That wasn't a part of my thought process. My thought process was down 38-0 or 7 at the time. Jaden Daniels is going to go try to make a play.
Right.
And from him trying to make plays is when we've seen him miss the most amount of time as a quarterback. So I think I just had that thought about his style of play, and you've watched that for years on end, and it's like, you know what? He's going to go out here and try to do something. We probably should protect him.
And I think you kind of want that to happen. This is a team, obviously, NFC Championship game last year, high expectations. They haven't played to that level. Everyone's competitive. Everybody on this desk is competitive that's played. Scott, you as well. And you want to go out there and you want to give a spark and you want to try to salvage, not that you're going to win the game, but you want to build on something. So I think there's a lot of desperation right now in Washington, and unfortunately that was a result of that desperation.
I appreciate the context and perspective of all of you that you shared here. They're hurting in Washington. It's been a rough season, and it will continue to be.